This is Mike Hanawald, field agronomist with Beck's Hybrids, and had an update about the weather that we've had recently. Have had several calls today about the cold weather that we had last night and some of the frost that we saw on some of the grass this morning, and those low temperatures that we experienced and what that impact that might have on crops that are emerged. So, first of all, I've yet to hear of any reports of temperatures that got cold enough. Where I'm at here in Northwest Ohio, we just got down to 35 degrees. And while that's enough to put some white on the grass in the morning, that's not enough to be a danger to any of our crops. So a killing freeze takes 28 degrees for 2 hours, and from what I've heard, we haven't gotten anywhere near that in any of our area of northern Ohio or northeast Indiana. So corn, beans, and wheat should all be okay. You might see some burnt leaf tips potentially show up over the next few days, but it's nothing that I'd be overly concerned about. The growth of those crops is going to slow down quite a bit here and have to ramp back up as we get into some warmer temperatures over the next few days. But other than some slowed growth and some burnt leaf tips, we shouldn't see any negative repercussions from this frost that would be of any concern. So the other thing I just wanted to share with everyone is just being aware of soil moisture as we proceed. I know there's some chances of rain expected later this week and into the weekend, that we might get some rain, but it looks like scattered rains, and several of our areas have been missing some of the scattered rains. And I know there are other areas that are just now drying out to plant. And so we've got the whole spectrum here, but just being aware that as we continue planting this week and then into next week, being aware of your soil moisture, how deep it is, and trying to conserve that moisture when possible, because after this weekend, it looks like a fairly long dry stretch, and we certainly don't want to be putting any seed into dry soils. So if you're doing tillage, working the ground, perhaps towing a crumbler or a double basket roller or some type of tool behind to help firm that down behind your tillage tool. And then also as you plant, not leaving too much time between tillage and planting, because that planter helps to firm that back down and retain that moisture. And then just making sure that the planter is set at the proper depth and that there's good moisture at those depths. So PFR tells us to plant our soybeans at 1.5 inches and corn at 2 inches. And I stay pretty firm on those planting depths, unless if we need to go deeper to chase moisture. It's much better to plant seed a little bit deeper into good moisture than it is to plant at those depths or shallower into dry soils. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on that moisture. Also, as we dry out, especially in no-till conditions, the ground is going to get hard. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your down pressure of your planter, whether that's with an automated system or whether that's with spring adjustments or airbags. Just making sure you're maintaining adequate down pressure to maintain that planting depth. And if your planting depth starts to change, don't just necessarily set your planter deeper. Check your down pressure and make sure you have enough down pressure there as well to make sure you're making the right adjustment between depth and down pressure. So any questions about these or any other agronomic topics, feel free to reach out to myself or your local Beck's representative, and we would be happy to help. Best of luck planting and stay safe.